That's right. It's episode 19 of USFA.
USFAPN. Let's
Let's
go.
go. I'm Potty Potty. That's
And I'm Rye Hoglaw.
We're bringing you week 2, episode 19 of our show. Rye, what do you think went down in this week? It was a big one. A lot of 40-point games.
Hard to see past the loss that we had as the Mafia owners and players ourselves, but since we're covering the whole league, I'll do my best to be objective.
And now for our special draft analysis with Starchy Chaff. That's right. It's Potty here alongside co-host Rye Hoglaw with special guest Starchy Chaff. How are you doing today? You are the owner, GM, and now player on the Anchorage Snow Devils.
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing fantastic.
And I got to ask just right off the bat, are you actually in Alaska?
No. Ironically enough, when I was making my team, I didn't notice that we actually had a team in my actual home state. The closest town to my state is the closest town to where I live is St. Louis.
Oh, well, Alaska's, they call it the St. Louis of the North. It's got all the, minus the arch. But you ever, do they, I'm wondering for the team, do they ever train with the Iditarod, that long, dog race that Balto was a part of? Anything like that for, endurance conditioning?
Yeah, I'd say sometimes, yeah. I'd also say sometimes no pads in the snow.
Damn.
Just so they can get their grip
work
and everything. Just for more grip, get more positioning and all that stuff.
Excellent. Well, let's talk about positioning. The league went into its draft recently, and we're going to pull up the breakdown of a number of different picks. What you're looking at are the ones that are rated with the highest number of coin, and then TPE is the second column. Are there any takeaways that you're seeing here as kind of our resident draft expert, or at least the closest thing we got to it? Any trends you're seeing in the overall picks before we dive into the round one and what went down?
Yes, it's interesting. They start at number 1 and then go in sequential order from there. 2, 3, 4, 5. So that definitely a clear takeaway. Just the numbering. You would have thought that maybe they would have considered doing a lettering system. The A pick, the B pick, the C pick. It's just untraditional. It'd be different, but I guess not here. I will say it was a very well-produced event and something that even if you aren't part of the league, was a lot of fun to watch.
Yes.
Yeah. For trends, I'd say people that came from the ECFL really went early, and a lot of sleepers, aka the people who joined when our first timers were really taking middle to late rounds, with a few ECFL guys in there. With of course owner players going in the first round, if there are any outside of me, which I believe there is one other.
Yes. Well, let's dive into that first round. In our first pick coming up, we had none other. The race taking them. They're one of the newest teams joining the USFA with their first pick, taking a linebacker, Yogi Barr. What do you think of this?
Yogi Barr, he's a really good player. I'd say this is a real good pick for them. Linebacker is always good because they're versatile. I'd say right now, their defense has looked good through 2 weeks, and I think Yogi Barr has really shown up.
A lot of pressure for the number 1 pick, but somebody that has already bolstered the team in their first 2 weeks in the league. We know they did get one win, a shady win against the Mafia, so it almost doesn't count. But great to see him produce from day 1.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Big pick there, impactful player. Coming in with the second pick, we had Aaron Ike. Rye was, deep into the strategy on why we went with a quarterback first as the co-owner of the Mafia. Rye, what kind of went through your head when we were looking at Aaron Ike?
Well, the first thing that went through my head was, since we don't have to actually pay any money to the players as we would a salary cap, what's the position that we could get the most value in? And that, of course, is quarterback. And then the second thing that went through my head was the first season of Friday Night Lights.
Oh, yeah. Was Aaron Ike a character on that show?
No, but it was about a quarterback.
Okay. Starch, what'd you think of us taking a quarterback, Aaron Ike, in the first round?
Uh, it's something that he said that really just struck a chord with me. It's not something about the draft pick. It's y'all didn't do your salary stuff.
We actually took care of it, but in the grander scheme of things, it's like the simulated money. So we planned ahead appropriately.
Yeah. Well, to get more accurate, immediate response, I'd say go to Andre Krem's podcast. But for right here, I'd say Aaron Ike is a really good quarterback. I'd say y'all still have a lot of way growing, but I'd say Aaron Ike is the right quarterback for y'all.
Perfect. That's what we like to hear. So coming in with the third pick of the first round, none other than Tyler Deatherage, going to
Yes.
Huntington Beach. What do you think, Rye?
Probably one of the number one name of the top three picks.
Yes. Did you, Starch, what's your opinion here? Who do you think drafted the better quarterback on first glance?
First glance, Huntington Beach.
Hmm. Well, they say first.
But
Mm-hmm.
first glance, you can't judge a book by its cover.
No, you can't. You got to read through that, get all the way to the appendix, and you see the guts of everything that goes into it. And let me tell you, Ike's got all the guts we need. But appreciate your opinion here, and good to see Huntington Beach taking a quarterback, which kind of led to a notable name here. I've seen this one before. Tank Falco Jr. coming in, another linebacker. You said they're versatile players. What do you think made Yogi Barr go before Tank Falco Jr.?
I think really it's getting to know the people, getting to have a relationship and knowing the people personally. I think that's why Yogi Barr went first. But I'd say in terms of talent, take Valco Jr. and Yogi Barr on the same level.
Yeah, it's interesting with the TPE ranking system. You can really put a firm, quantifiable number or ranking on how every player will perform on the field. But it's those relationships that are developed behind the scenes that we don't get a lot of insight into outside of sometimes on these podcasts or as part of the draft broadcast themselves that really drive these decisions.
I do have a point of note that when we get to Anchorage's pick, I have to talk about.
Yes. Well, let's see about that. Guess it's not this one. Is this one going to Zaire Augustus, another quarterback? And look at those Jersey Battalion uniforms. Those are pretty slick.
Camo uniforms, very cool.
They're cool, but they're just not for me.
Not for you. Well, they'll be blending into the background anyways after the Mafia take down the battalion this week.
Let's go, baby.
Let's, Zaire.
Battle of the rookie QBs.
Yes, absolutely.
The second battle.
Yeah, second ballot. Did you have a perspective on Augustus?
I'd say Augustus, he's thrown into a bad spot. Realistically, going from an expansion team, you have a lot of expectations on you. And right here, I don't know if he's going to be able to take all those expectations and run with it. But so far, from what I've seen, he's done good with what limited showings he's had.
Absolutely. Well, Augustus was an emperor, and over here we've got a king, King Maximus, the sixth pick, a defensive end, coming to the Tacoma eruption. Would you say he's been blowing up this season so far? I've seen a sack or two.
Personally, I'd say for the best pick of the first round, we're right here. At a pure talent, is King Maximus.
It's very interesting to see that 3 out of the top 6 players actually go on defense here. Not something that you see in real life every day, but that guy looks big as hell, so it seems like a good pick.
That's right. And so, after Kings, we got presidents, and we have none other than Leon Kennedy, number 24, the cornerback, going to the Tampa Bay Typhoon. They've got some blue paint splattered on their jerseys, looking like Jackson Pollock. Very interesting to see a cornerback go number 7. Did you think one would go a little bit lower, Starch?
No, this is a round where I've seen a cornerback to go. In fact, I'm surprised the quarterback didn't go earlier, actually. Because last season with what's his name, that boy over in Dallas and the guy over in Arizona in Pittsburgh, they burned the league. I'm surprised corners weren't going fast.
Hmm. Interesting. I guess that's the way it folds. And like money, you need to put them into things called banks. Coming in with our 8th pick, Carlton Banks, wide receiver. This is our first wide receiver coming out. This one going to HBV again. Nice, clean jerseys, clean banks. What do you think of the future for Carlton over here?
Personally, HBV got scarier. And Carlton, I believe he's going to be a wide receiver 2 to start out. He could jump up to that wide receiver 1 in a few seasons.
I, I just love to see another creative name. Carlton Banks, of course, of Fresh Prince fame, apparently is getting out of acting and back into football.
Yeah.
So let's see if he can perform. Good number 2 wide receiver, like he was the number 2 star on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Hopefully, they've got a Will Smith on the other end of the field for HBV.
I hope so. I know in another league there's a Chris Rock, but different show, different time, different era. We've got none other than Guy Clausen coming over with I work with Guy on the Ringside show, so good to see him go to the Pittsburgh Roughnecks. This is a wide receiver over in Pittsburgh. So what do you think of Guy, Starch?
Wide receiver 1 material. I'd say purely wide receiver 1 material. He's going to be your main guy. Pittsburgh really got to steal here, except, oh, wait, they already have a wide receiver 1. So now they have 2 wide receiver 1s with him being their wide receiver 2.
Oh, really stacked on those wide receivers. That brings us to the double digits here when we get up to number 10. Guess who this one's going to? None other than the Snow Devils. Starts before you get into your kind of analysis for your team's pick. I wondered if Rye had any first impressions just looking at Keith Simmons and that intimidating pose pointing to the Snow Devil itself.
Yeah, I was going to say, I hope he's not pointing at me because he looks like a dangerous man on the field. I'm curious to hear the story behind how Simmons landed in Alaska.
Yeah. So this is my player. This is my first create. And I just wanted a wide receiver because we need wide receiver badly. Last season we had 2 wide receivers and 3 running backs at wide receiver. So we really need to boost that spot. And ironically, he, aka me, is wide receiver 2 on the team. And our punt return / kick return specialist, who, off topic, last week had 299 total yards of offense.
Wow.
Were you worried that some other team was going to pick him before Anchorage got to him?
Only you can pick your GM player.
Very nice.
Well, sounds like you're really building for the future up in Anchorage, and a solid pick. Just any inspiration for the name that you came with?
My middle name plus my last name.
Right on. All we need is the first name, and we can get a credit card.
We'll see in season 12.
All right, so that brings us to the 11th pick. This one going to the Royals, MJ Witten, wide receiver number 8. What do you think of the Royals this season? What do you think's in store for them?
So personally, they're the best team. I don't even know if they're the best team in overalls. I just know they're the best team on field. I think MJ Witten, he could go into that wide receiver 2 role, but I wouldn't be surprised if by even mid-season he's already wide receiver 1 and running away with the Rookie of the Year race.
Wow.
A lot of opportunity for the young receivers and the young quarterbacks on all of the teams this year because it is a league where there are a lot of holes at the number 1 and number 2 slots across all positions. Even at a team as good as Charlotte, to think that they could have a not even top 10 draft pick coming in and make an immediate impact, pretty crazy. But that's the USFA, I guess.
Yeah,
is the USFA breaking the glass ceiling, and coming in, we got none other than my man Paris Glass, the tight end, number 12. This is the first tight end we've seen, or number 13. Going to the Archers, Archers are stacked in a lot of different ways. Did you feel that a tight end was kind of a position that they might need a little help on?
I think tight end was the only spot that they really needed, outside of a little bit of help on defense depth wise. But in terms of starting spots, I think tight end was the only spot they needed. So this is a really good spot for them. And with how short limited this tight end class was, this is a really good spot.
Absolutely. I think they really branched out on this one, which brings us to the pick 12.5, none other than Zachariah Branch, a wide receiver going to the battalion. Is he a wide receiver too, just rocking number 2 coincidentally?
Um, that's like a quarterback, so they could probably make him their wide receiver 1.
All right.
I know the person a little bit personally. He's a really good guy, and I'd say, given time, he will be that wide receiver 1 for New Jersey.
And do you know why that there's a 12.5 instead of a pick 13?
That is because of expansion draft. Somebody refused to go to New Jersey.
Oh, well, it is unfortunate. They will, well, I don't know who that player was, but they will have to
I mean, would you want to move to New Jersey? Let's be honest.
Nah, man, not when you're so close to New York. They could, potentially live in New
Exactly.
York. Ah, well, let's pull up this last list and have any closing thoughts here, Starch, on how the draft went in comparison to other kind of seasons. If you have any perspective or any kind of closing thoughts on, what the outcome of this draft is.
I can't really say it for every single team. I will say for a few teams, it's really good for everybody. That everybody actually got positions that they needed. They filled holes that they had and everything. I can give you perspective on Anchorage's draft. This is the best draft in our history. And already we have 3 Rookie of the Year candidates.
Wow, there can only be one.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Just last observation to leave everyone on: of all the top 13 draft picks, every single one was a rookie.
very true. Very true. Well, Starch, it's been a pleasure to have you on once again. Looking forward to having you again in the future. And hope you have a good one and best of luck this season.
Yeah. Thank you, and best of luck to you too.
Thanks, Darch.
Do our best to be objective, and we will provide you an overview. Starting us off, we've got none other than the New Jersey Battalion going against the Pittsburgh Roughnecks. And in our first play, we've got these Pittsburgh, unis on the form. What do you think about these guys? Kind of like the Steelers?
Yeah, I'm interested in watching the battalion to see how we're going to need to do to prepare for them. And I like what I'm seeing so far.
That was Angel. It could be Food Cake, but I think the real name that I saw on the sheet was Flugel. And that was an interception by Pittsburgh. But, Stacks pronounced it Food Cake in the game. So I guess we'll have to see what the actual name is.
I do love Angel Food Cake.
Oh, yeah, man. Fluffy and light, and always a delight. So Pittsburgh coming in right in the red zone, passing this one off to Anthony Stank with the touchdown. That set up Pittsburgh up 7 points in the game.
Man, I used to love stink bombs when I was a kid. Anthony Stink, making me nostalgic. I can almost smell it.
Almost smell. I remember those bad boys. You'd like throw them, and the glass would break, and some sort of stinky old odor would come out. I'd buy them from this store called Pumpkin Moon. Pumpkin Moon, yeah. And this one going to Xavier Hawkins. That was his first touchdown of his career. Shout out to Xavier Hawkins.
They were these they were almost shaped like a condom, except they were a lot bigger. And you didn't open it; you just cracked it, and it was like the same shit that's inside of like a neon glow stick or something. Except instead of it glowing, it started to stink.
Absolutely, and it was so strange, like kind of like an hourglass shape. At least the ones I remember. That was C.J. Bird with the fumble recovery, which led up Pittsburgh, up 14-0. We had a big run here, over here, and then this one going to Guy Clausen with his touchdown. Remember, that was one of those high overall picks.
Tough for some of the newer teams in the league this year to pull out some wins. Pittsburgh running all over the battalion.
Absolutely. And it came from the skies as well, with Mike Hawk, number 69, dropping it down to a knee and putting more points on the board. That led to Pittsburgh being up 28-0. And it kind of looked like New Jersey was just going to get the door closed upon them as they left the stadium. But with 3 minutes in the fourth, New Jersey finally responded. This one going to Spiderweb, who put, 6 points on the board.
Nice to see a little bit of fight at the end there. That means the season isn't lost just yet.
Season isn't lost, but we'll see how it trends next week. At least they got the extra point there. Do you think if you're down 28-0, do you go for 2, or do you think going for 1 was right?
I mean, if you're me, you're always going for 2.
Always going for 2. Well, New Jersey going for their second loss this season are up next against the Mafia, which is going to tell us who's going to go down. And
yeah, really exciting game to watch and be in the chat for on this one. Unfortunately, spoiler alert, it was not as close as my demeanor would have you believe, but a great experience nonetheless. People go to the games just to go to the games.
Yes.
I heard Taylor Swift was there, and I heard she'll be at the next Mafia game as well. So
absolutely. And we'll have to see this one. You said that Drake was in the building for Toronto, right? This is the Mafia's game.
That's right. People say she's going out with Travis Kelce, but I think they may have hooked up here at the Wraiths game. Drake and Taylor.
Well, over here, the Wraiths putting up, Dusty Rooks putting up 7 points on the board. Then it went on to a big deep bomb. This one going to Darren Eliason for another Toronto touchdown.
All right, we've seen a lot of Toronto touchdowns here. Can we see a Mafia highlight? Please tell me this is a interception or fumble return for a touchdown.
No, this one is the same player, Darren. Oh, let's see these. Watch this toe drag. That was pretty good pay. Darren Eliason. There aren't any Mafia highlights on this one. I didn't even include the potty field goal. But we did have a massive run by Austin Wilson. Shout out, that's his first TD in Toronto. And close.
Do you know what my biggest problem is with that touchdown? It came against the Mafia.
It's my problem with it as well. But I think it's good to show the viewers what the both teams kind of have looked like over their past game. This one against New Jersey, and finally we had Austin Wilson with another one, gets one in the game, and then brings home a third. So ultimately, Mafia did put 3 points on the board, but we did go down 3 to 40. So the race.
And if 3 points were worth 13 points each, then it would have been a lot closer.
If I had made all my field goals, we would have tripled how many points we made.
Wow. How's that for stats?
Big ones, big stats. So that brings us over to our third game, which was Anchorage versus St. Louis.
I love these uniforms for Anchorage. St. Louis American Gladiator style. Wow, he's wide open.
Yes, there was a big catch by none other than Ron Jolin, who was traded to Anchorage.
Got a chip on his shoulder.
And shout out to Starchy Chaff, who was previously on the episode. This is his team, and we've got a few fun factoids about them so far. But as you can see, Christopher Baker taking home an interception for St. Louis. It's kind of set the tone for the game.
St. Louis, a tough team to beat, especially in their house.
Absolutely, and St. Louis, passing it to none other than Namey McNamerson.
Oh my gosh!
And you can see him just setting down the tone with the touchdown, which brought the score to 7-0.
Yeah, I heard Namey has 8 sons, and they're all named Namey.
It might be. It was raining down to Kevin Lee.
Oh my goodness!
Huge deep bomb. Love to see that. Anchorage, on the other hand, this one going to Kevin Lee.
All right, showing a little bit of fight here.
This one actually going to Sean Justice. I lost my place. But yeah, you can see a little bit of fight. 7-14 Anchorage with the ball. And it wasn't just the only one. This one going to Keith Simmons. We got some numbers on him later. Coming up with a massive touchdown. Look at that. Is that a bionic arm? Bionic left arm?
Rookie wide receiver with a huge touchdown. And I think he had a couple other yards on special teams this week as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we can see that one going around. This one right here, Namie McNamerson rolling through, the other team and getting that touchdown.
You can hear the whole stadium yelling, "Name me, name me, name me."
And St. Louis wasn't done. They were up 21-17. And, one of the newest, players in the league, this one, Rocky Butterfingers, coming in with his first career touchdown.
The inaptly named Rocky Butterfingers with his first career touchdown. Love to see it.
Yes. And they were in a round formation. This one going to the head of the table, Sir Lancelot, taking one in for St. Louis. As you can see, they kind of continued to pick up that pace. It was 34-20. Anchorage having to, bring some justice back to their case, sending this one off to none other than Sean Justice, who caught that one and pulled it in. This led Anchorage to ultimately come to their harrowing defeat as St. Louis, with a minute left, up 7 points, gave it off to Namie McNamerson, who took it in.
Namie is a killer of dreams and an eater of souls. And it looked a little bit closer than it was on the field than the score might imply. But great to see Alaska give St. Louis a run for their money, at least early at home. St. Louis is the juggernaut.
St. Louis, the juggernaut, absolutely. But let's throw up the stats of 3 players. So we got Keith Simmons, who has, in the last game, 300 yards on offense. We've also got Dane Jones over the course 2 weeks with 800 yards, and a number of rookies, Sean Justice, Keith Simmons, Ben Blazin. Each of those, at least in one person's perspective, could be Rookie of the Year candidates.
Well, it's a young person's game.
Yes, absolutely. So moving along in our 4th game, we have Charlotte taking on Tampa Bay. Charlotte, the big bomb, this one going to Kai Coco, setting the tone for the evening as the Royals took a 17-3 lead. But Tampa Bay was with the ball, and they had an opportunity to put some points back on the board. This one going to Tom Edwards, very frank first name, and an extended multiple last one.
Not sure about that dance, but that run was pretty good.
Yes, absolutely. So all they needed to come up was 7 points, and instead we had Charlotte with the ball and looking to capitalize. They invested their dividends, put them into the banks, Carlton banks that is, taking one down for the Royals. A lot of wealth on the field. Great to see the crown.
Wow, he almost did the real Carlton dance.
I wonder, we'll have to inquire. That's why they need simulated agents, people that can negotiate on their behalf, get players what they really need.
That's right, like custom touchdown celebration simulations.
Yes. We could start our own little company and get in green suits and do them and map them. Anyways, that
like
one.
Like Gollum in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Bronson Spiro taking that one home, and then it moved on over to, Charlotte with the ball. They're up, about 18 points here, or 12, and instead they get a big old sack taking them out of field goal range. This one coming in the 4th quarter.
Yeah, Tampa Bay hanging in there, but just barely.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, Charlotte responded. This big sack by none other than Shane Knox out of Charlotte.
That's a hard knocks life.
Hard Knocks life. And they lost 24-16. Typhoon going down the drain. Ultimately, I thought it was a good clash. It showcased the strength of the Royals, and that's why they're a team to watch out for. But not to say that the Typhoon didn't have a competitive bout.
The Royals and the Gladiators, man. Got to watch out.
Yes. All right. So, anyways, moving on to our fifth game, second to last of the night. We had a 0-0 start, as always, and this one coming to Huntington Beach. We had. Well,
Ooh,
here.
a little toss that over the top like a grenade.
All right. Well, this one actually was Carlton Banks. It wasn't he doing the Carlton dance?
Oh, it was a different Banks that we deposited that joke in, huh?
Yeah, I messed
You
that
get your
one.
bank straight, party,
Yeah.
please.
Oh, my bad. I take ownership for that. So, anyways, good to see him because that was the same picture from the draft card coming in. Carlton Banks, what a great play. And this one, Huntington Beach throwing it deep to owner player Ryan Davis, who we've had on the show. Shout out to Ryan.
Ooh, quick little swag drop celebration there from Ryan.
Swag drop and coming in. Riker Bryston,
Wow.
touchdown for Huntington Beach.
Now this team has the easiest names to pronounce.
Yeah. Well, and if you didn't catch it the first
Riker
time,
Bryston.
well, I've got this one listed as Riker Bryson as well. Looks like I screwed that up. Anyways, when it came down to it, there was a critical play that occurred into about midway through the game, 9-28, and Tacoma had the ball, a big chance, and they almost lost it, but their O-line recovering the fumble, and ultimately what happened is it pushed them all the way back to their red zone, and Huntington Beach capitalized in the second quarter. And this one going to Tim Carlson with the touchdown, really putting the game substantially out of reach for Tacoma.
I used to know a guy named Tim Carlson. He was a good guy.
Good
I
man.
wonder if it's the same dude. If it is, what up, Carlson? Get in our comments.
Damn. Yeah, if you recognize him, let him know. This one, Ryan Davis rolling his way into the end zone.
Actually, I don't know what his first name was. We just called him Carlson, so I think it was Tim, but I don't remember. Tim, if you don't know me, maybe ask your brother.
Maybe ask your brother. Okay. TJ Camden there with the fumble recovery, and that's ultimately how this game ended up. As you can see, 42-9, another big difference in scores. Kind of led us into our last game of the evening, and that one is Dallas versus Arizona in the Snake Pit, I believe.
Oh,
This one going to JCB, Jason Cool Beans with the touchdown for Arizona. I don't know this player too well, but I feel like there's some history about them, so might be looking at important figure.
creatively named. You got to love it.
And this one, a very important figure. Okay, this one with Dallas. They're on their 15-yard line. Ulf Jacobson,
Oh, my gosh.
a.k.a. Caboose.
Burn the boats.
Yes, burn the boats.
Wow.
His player, really taking that one home.
Running like it's the year 900 in England.
Second and rating. Ultimately, Arizona had the chance to take it, even higher, and they put down a touchdown. This one going to Jason Copeland, first touchdown in Arizona.
In the now and later home uniforms.
Yes. Those neon, Laffy Taffy, pull your tooth out uniforms.
Right.
So we had this one going deep down to Jerry Riggs, always rigging the jury, and taking this one down to Dallas. Very nice deep bomb display that brought in. Mhm.
Probably the closest, most fun game of those that we had on our slate with how tight it was right up until the end.
Right up until the end. This time Arizona with the ball. They're up a point, so it looks like Dallas might have missed their, extra point. Maybe they went for two. Dallas getting an interception there. That one going to Rocky Ivan.
A lot of Rockies
A lot of Rockies.
in this league. Is that Rocky
Balboas.
Butterfingers we saw earlier?
Yeah.
This is Rocky Ivan.
All right, now we've got Arizona with the ball. They're up 1 point, and they get it over to Reginald Rome with the touchdown, bringing them ahead.
Might be Fromm, as in Jake Fromm, if it's spelled Fromm.
Oh, it's M-E.
Fromm. It is probably Fromm then.
Or
Fromy, as in give me a fro. Fromy.
Rome.
Or throw me farther.
Quentin Robin with the touchdown there. And, back to the basics here. 19-21. They've got 50 seconds on the clock at their 40-yard line. Dallas with the ball. And it's going. Oh, intermediate.
Oh, my gosh.
Big run.
Oh,
really
what
dusted
a game.
The defenders. And
what a game.
Yeah, pretty sick. All right, 26-21 to the Dragons taking over the Rattlers. That was pretty cool comeback in the end. And it looks like they sustained the lead to hold down their win. So shout out to them.
Great ending graphic and probably the most exciting game of the week. I can't wait to see what this week's games have in store.
Maybe we should add that, Next,
Maybe.
Here's the schedule for this week. Well, what we do have is the recap. You're looking at it. A lot of cool pictures and images there. Shout out to Stacks. And we also have our team of the week. I'm going to see, are there any names? Potty punter. Looks like somebody got kicker, but I think I did, maximize the amount of punts that came out there. So shout out to me. And it looks like I'm the only New York player, but I bet you next week when this comes out, there's going to be more than one New York Mafia member holding it down on Stacks' team of the week. So that was sick. And Rye, in closing, anything on your mind for the upcoming week, what the Mafia are going to do?
Can't wait to see what we are going to do on the field. I have a feeling it's going to be a big game from a defensive perspective. And who knows what next week will hold in terms of the games that we'll recap. And will we have a what will next week hold segment? Who knows? Tune in next week.
Because this is
USFA.
Let's go.